have, but going for the immediate, if you're giving me the option of a long-term deal or just for the immediate, he's a perfect fit for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But you can't get him like that.
No, you're going to have to go long-term. And like we said, he's 30, so you probably have to give him a 5 or 6-year deal probably. But you only have Lynn and Gibson for a year, if you want them for a year. And Michaelis, I believe, well, no, he signed.
I think he's got 2 more years.
Extension, right. So if you project, and as we mentioned before, Mo and DeWitt are looking 4 or 5 years ahead rather than next year. That's something that you should be able to fit into your payroll.
So if he has a 7-year deal, do you want the back end of that deal with a 38-year-old?
I want to try to win a World Series. That's where I am right now. I'm done with worrying about 7 years down the road. I want to try to win a World Series.
Sure.
Because you have Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, and they're not getting any younger, so you have to make some of those moves and those pieces now. Now, this is, of course, you can't go back in time and change things, but every once in a while I think about this. Do you guys wish that they would have, during spring training last year, worked on an extension with Jordan Montgomery to keep him?
I wonder if behind the scenes they did, and then when Montgomery said at the start of the season, once the season begins, I'm not talking. And a lot of time, and especially when he's represented by Scott Boras, you know what? That's tough to handle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got to deal with him, and he's the best agent in the sport.
Well, Jordan Montgomery did say in spring training last year that they hadn't approached him about extension talks yet, but he would be open to it. So I think when you hear that, of course, there could be way more behind the scenes. Maybe they did approach Scott Boras, and Boras said, no, you know who I am. We're going to go hit free agency here. Yeah. But at the same time, I just think about what if they could have landed him last season and got to that extension working with him.
I just think it's a moot point because Boras was taking everybody to free. He's still got 4 guys in free agency right now. He takes everybody to free agency. One other point, by the way, about the Cardinals looking ahead. Yesterday, Bobby Witt of the Royals signs a $288 million extension, 11 years, $288.8 million. Again, another template set for the Cardinals in dealing with Jordan Walker. It's only going to get more expensive, right? So the Cardinals, I would hope, when we talk about looking into the future, are on signing Jordan Walker to this massive extension because that's all it's going to be. He's not going to get any cheaper for them.
As a 21-year-old, I don't think enough people have paid attention to just how good his season was. And what takes away from it was when he was sent down and they looked at launch angle and various things they wanted to work on. Going back to Kansas City, though, they have spent $110 million in free agency. They've got Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, Will Smith, Chris Stratton, Hunter Renfroe, Adam Frazier, Garrett Hampson. This is a much better team on paper. Now, the team has a February 29th deadline to reveal the site location for a proposed new ballpark, and I'm sure that's part of what's going into this is that, hey, look at us. We're spending money. We just locked up the face of the franchise, and as we move forward with a new ballpark, we're trying to do things right, so get behind us. Makes sense.
I agree. Now, with Jordan Walker, and I agree with you guys, I think that they should lock him in, especially with how young he is. He's 21 years old. Bobby Witt Jr., 23. Would you give it another year if you're the Cardinals, or do you do it this spring training if you can?
I would have done it last spring training. Before he played a major league game, I would have tried to lock him up. I wonder if they did try that. It was something I threw out there, and I have no background information on this. This is just me throwing out there. I wonder if they did approach him and his representation and said, you know what, there's a couple of guys that have done this before in terms of before they play a major league game, of locking them up long term. And as you said, Randy, the price is only going to go up as they move forward.
Yep. Here's why I would do it right now and not wait a year. On August 26th of 2022, Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners signed a $210 million contract, $11,210 million. Almost exactly 18 months later, Witt is at $290 million. So that's why I say it's only going to go up. That's $80 million more in 18 months. So what's it going to be in another 18 months, right? Another $100 million. So at that point, because you've got the Ohtani contract sitting out there, you've got the Trout contract still sitting out there, you've got Soto coming up in 18 months. Soto will have signed. So if you're a young player, you are looking well north of you're looking at Mookie Betts money. You're looking at $350 if you're Jordan Walker 18 months from now.
He could have a monster season too. I was looking at his numbers in the final 2 months. He had an OPS plus of 125, so 25 plus above the average. League norm is 100. I'm telling you what, man, this guy's got a chance to be a superstar. And as you mentioned, Randy, for the third time, I'll say it, the price only goes up.
Absolutely.
Price of business only goes up.
That's today's Fresh Take here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we're going to talk a little Blues hockey with our buddy John Kelly, TV voice of the Blues on Bally Sports. And then the fight at the bottom of the hour. And then coming up at 9:15, our coach, Dick Vermeil, here on 101 ESPN. Hey, we had the folks from Hoffman Brothers out over the weekend to take a look at the furnaces, and the furnaces are great. It's really important to have your furnaces checked out, and that's one of the cool things about the Hoffman Brothers Home Protection Plan is that they'll remind you every year that you need to have your furnaces and your air conditioners checked out. They'll replace filters. They send filters to your home, and they'll make sure that everything is in great working order. And it's also very important to know what the lifespan of your HVA system is going to be. So if you've got an older home, 20, 25 years old, and maybe you've never replaced the furnaces, they'll tell you, hey, be prepared next year. Put some money aside because you're probably going to have to get new furnaces. It's a really important thing. They do wonderful work at Hoffman Brothers. They have great people, and you can give them a call and make an appointment right now at 314-664-3011, 314-664-3011, or find them on the web at hoffmanbros.com. And right now, I mentioned they're great employees. They are hiring. They have great benefits, holidays, paid training, long-term disability, company-provided uniforms. They have annual tool credits, and you can work for the best. You can work for Hoffman Brothers. Learn more at hoffmanbros.com. Call 314-664-3011. The Carricker family uses it. You should, too.
Talking everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues Booth. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
I'm Randy Carricker. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. The Blues won't be back in action until Saturday, and we'll see how everything goes with the Blues returning to action in Buffalo at noon on Saturday. That's an ABC game, and then John Kelly and the crew from Bally Sports will be back at it from Montreal at noon on Sunday. So back-to-back games on the weekend, back-to-back day games on the weekend for the Blues. John Kelly joins us now here on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Good. How's your break going?
It's going well. The weather's great. Getting some R&R and stuff like that, so everything's going well.
Nice. That's great to hear, John. Well, I wanted to ask you about, as we reflect on the first half of the season for the Blues as we get back from the All-Star break, we've seen a lot of highs and lows from the Blues and a lot of great play from the likes of Robert Thomas, Colton Parayko, and Jordan Binnington. But who would be your MVP of the first half of the season for the Blues?
Boy, that's a tough one, Brooke. I would certainly narrow it down to Robert Thomas, Parayko, Binnington. And I think if I had to pick one, I would have to go with Binnington. Because if they don't have the great goaltending, they're not sitting in the second wild card spot. And, if to me, an MVP, if you lose that player, where would your team be? Obviously, the other players are very important, but, goaltending is basically half the game in hockey, right? It's just so important. So you have to have great goaltending to compete. And the Blues have had great goaltending this year from Binnington and also Joel Hofer. So I would say Binnington would be my final answer, Brooke. How's that?
Final answer? It's the fight isn't until 8:30, John. So
okay.
If you want to take on Randy, just let us know and text in. I want to ask you about the skills competition and the All-Star game. Do you like it? Is there some things you tweak with it? What did you think?
I think that it's obviously a show, Rand or Dan, as we know. It's not really a sporting competition, although the players try hard in the fastest skater and the different skills competitions. And I think the game has gotten a little bit more competitive the last couple of years. There were a couple of years where it wasn't competitive at all. And I thought, in watching the 3 games this year, I thought it was fairly competitive, so I enjoyed it. The goaltenders obviously have a tough situation because basically all it is 2-on-1s and breakaways all night long or all day long. I mean, that's all it is. So, the skill was on display. Robert Thomas had a ton of chances, obviously didn't get on the board. But I think overall it was a very good show, and I think the NHL had to be pleased with the outcome from Toronto.
John Kelly with us on 101 ESPN. JK, Pavel Buchnevich this year has 39 points, 17 goals, 22 assists in 47 games. He is a plus 10, and he's been a consistent on that top line. What have you thought of what you've seen of Buchnevich this season?
I think he's played really well, and, he's sort of the glue of that line. Robert is obviously the leading scorer right now, and Kyrou is a guy that obviously can have just incredible games and is still a bit too inconsistent at times. But Buchnevich is more, to me, the glue guy, and I think he's had a really good season. So, obviously the Blues need more 5-on-5 scoring. Their power play has been tremendous since the coaching change. And if they're going to be a playoff team, and right now they sit in the second wild card spot, they need more 5-on-5 scoring, and Buchnevich is certainly one of the guys that can deliver.
Well, we were talking about this earlier because yesterday we had on Joe Buck, and he had his take on the Blues is that they should sell when it comes to the trade deadline. Now, I'm sure a lot will be determined by their play in the next coming weeks, but as of right now, do you see the Blues being buyers or sellers at the trade deadline?
Well, I know that Doug Armstrong was doing some media last weekend, and he basically said they're neutral right now. They have a month before the deadline, so I think it really determines where you are at that point. I find it really difficult to believe if the Blues were in a playoff spot that they would be sellers, but you never know, and you never know what kind of deal is out there. At any point, a team can make a trade if it's going to benefit that team short-term and long-term, right? I mean, if Wayne Gretzky can get traded, anybody can get traded any time. That's the way I look at it. So, but I think that there's too much runway here before the trade deadline. So I would like to really answer that question when the deadline does come in March.
I think it's great, John, that NHL players are returning to the Olympics for the first time in, I guess, a decade or so. What was your reaction to hearing that news?
Well, I wasn't surprised, Dan. I know the players have been certainly lobbying that for a couple of years, and they certainly weren't happy that they weren't in the Olympics the last couple of years, or Olympics. I think it's great news, and it's great for the game, and the top players want to go. I know that the NHL for years has been saying basically that it really doesn't benefit the league or the individual teams, but I think big picture, I think it does help sell the game. And more importantly, the top players want to go. So, it is a collaboration with the players in the NHL. So I think it's great, and I look forward to 26 and 30. I think it's going to be outstanding. And, we're not going to – we haven't seen those top players, excuse me, at the Olympics before, the likes of Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon. So some of those elite players are going to get their first crack at the Olympics, and it should be a lot of fun.
And, John, I've always thought, and I've always enjoyed the World Cup competitions that take place right before training camp, but those players aren't conditioned like these players are. They're in, for the Olympics, in mid-season form, so you've got the best players at the top of their game. For me, Olympic hockey is the best hockey I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the 87 Canada Cup, I know I'm biased because my father broadcast the games, those three games in the 87 Canada Cup. It was in September that year between Canada and the USSR at the time, were three of the best hockey games I've ever seen. But having said that, you're right. If you play in the middle of the season, the players are in top shape. So that's the benefit. Now, the downside is that you're in the middle of the season, you're getting ready for the playoff push, and if players get injured, obviously it's really impactful on the teams and those particular players. But thinking positively, I think it's a win-win to have it in the middle of the season, no question.
JK, great to hear your voice, and we have you back on Sunday, right, from Montreal?
Yes, Super Bowl Sunday from Montreal. Can't wait. It should be good.
Should be great. Have a great one. Thank you, sir. We appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. That's John Kelly, TV voice of the Blues on 101 ESPN.
Did you see Nikita Kucherov during the skills competition? Mm-hmm. Didn't try to put in any effort to it. That's one of the problems I had over the weekend. But all in all, I think it was a good showcase for the sport.
Yeah, Kucherov, arguably the most gifted player in the sport, right? McDavid is unbelievable, and McKinnon is unbelievable, and Austin Matthews is unbelievable. I think if I were just to have a skills competition, and you're right, he didn't give it everything he has, but I think Kucherov,
he gave it nothing.
He really did. There was little effort.
Even on that team, I think he's the most gifted player on that team. But if you ask me for the guy with the gifts, just the natural hockey player, I think Kucherov's the guy.
I do too. He's right there with it. I was disappointed he did that. If you don't want to compete in it, then take yourself out of it. Come up with an injury. Say I'm dealing with a bad calf or something. Well, it's just a bad look for the league.
Yeah, and you had players who weren't able to participate in the skills competitions. So
yeah, right. One that should have won the passing competition, but it happens.
It happens.
Coming up, Matthew, do you need a fighter? What happened yesterday? I didn't.
Yeah, we need another fighter. Randy, you won.
Okay. If you want to text in to fight, you can. Just text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! With your name and the word fight. And maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to go to Auto Loan Pro if you're buying a new vehicle and you haven't gotten financing yet. Auto Loan Pro is the place to go because they're going to get you the best rate and they're going to get you the best payment. At AutoLoanPro.com, they're working with over 50 lenders to help you get the very best financing, and they're working hard to make sure that you do get the best financing. And at Auto Loan Pro, I want you to go to the website, AutoLoanPro.com, just download their playbook, and that'll help you through the process of getting a loan and finding out what you need to do, what the keys are to getting the best loan. And if you are looking for a vehicle but really don't know what you want yet, you can just click down that tab and they'll have vehicles available for you. Cars under $10,000, pre-owned vehicles. If you're still in the market and looking for a vehicle, AutoLoanPro.com can help you out. Little to no money down. They're going to work to get you the best rate possible. And if you can make a payment, they will get you a loan. That's the way it works with Auto Loan Pro. They're fantastic, they're local, and they will work great with you. If you're financing a car, there's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro at AutoLoanPro.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The big story in sports yesterday was the big deal for Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals. 11 years, $288 million. Lots of player options and opt-outs in that deal for Bobby Witt and the Royals. We get back with some college basketball tomorrow as the Billikens face off against LaSalle at the Tom Golo Arena at 5:30 p.m. And then Missouri shoots for their first SEC win of the season against Texas A&M with an 8 p.m. tip-off on ESPN+. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, and Matthew Rocchio. And it is now time for the fight. Our fighter today is Todd. Todd, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. It's nice and sunny outside, a little chilly inside the studio. But other than that, we're doing good. What do you think, Dan?
It's chilly.
It is chilly.
It's chilly in here.
We always are struggling to figure out how to work the system in here.
Todd, have you ever taken on Randy? Have you ever won a fight?
I've never won a fight. I took him on a couple years ago, and I got tricked on a question. Who was the oldest pitcher to throw a perfect game? And I knew it was Randy Johnson, but I said Jamie Moyer, and he got me 2-1. So,
All right. Well, you ready to go today?
I am, and I just want to say something real quick. Danny Mac, you are missed calling Cardinal games. Love you, guy, man. You're the best.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, Todd, ready for question number 1 and redemption for the fight?
All right, here we go.
The Cardinals entered the 9th inning of Game 5 of the 2012 NLDS, down 7-5 to the Nationals. Who drove in the winning runs on the 2-out RBI single that made it 9-7? Is it Pete Kozma, Daniel Descalso, or Carlos Beltran?
Ooh, I think Descalso. I think Descalso was on base, maybe. God, I remember that game. I was watching with a bunch of friends. Let's go with Kozma. Maybe he was on base, too. Yeah, we'll go with Kozma, I guess.
Okay, question 2, Todd. Here we go. Who is the only player to lead the National Football League in sacks 3 times? Was it T.J. Watt, Lawrence Taylor, or Mark Gastineau?
Ooh, golly. Gastineau, T.J. Watt. Who was the other one? Gastineau, T.J. Watt.
And Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor. I'm going to go with Mark Gastineau.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
Question 3, please.
Following the Patriots' comeback from 28-3, who scored the Super Bowl winning touchdown in overtime? Was it Julian Edelman, LeGarrette Blount, or James White?
It was James White. Final answer.
Going back
I could be wrong, but I think that's who it was.
I like your confidence. I like your confidence. Okay, going back to Terry Bradshaw's MVP win in 1978, 20 different QBs have won the award. Only 2 of them never played in a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson and who else? Randall Cunningham, Brian Sipe, Phillip Rivers.
I don't think Phillip Rivers ever played in a Super Bowl. Did he? The Chargers, did they ever make it? I'm going to say Phillip Rivers, maybe.
Okay, final answer?
Rivers. I don't know if he won an MVP, though. Yeah, Phillip Rivers. We'll just go with him.
Okay.
I'm sure Randy will get that right.
If it's the NFL, there's probably a good chance that he will. That's the problem with NFL week. You know what I mean? This guy, he is a mega mind for certain reasons that we call him that. And he kind of knows a lot of stuff.
He really does. How do you feel after
get
that?
all 4 of these right?
Yeah.
I feel okay, but I think he's going to get 4 right. I might have got 1 right. He's going to probably get 4, so it'll be over soon.
Now, if you ask Randy 2 + 2, he may not get that. But if you asked him about something in 1957 in a baseball game in July, he probably would.
Yeah,
Randall?
he probably would. He'd know the pitcher, the save leader, and who got the game-winning RBI.
Exactly. Randall, say good morning to Todd.
Todd, good morning. How you doing?
Good, Mr. Carricker. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for listening and participating in the fight. We appreciate it.
All right. Question
Yes,
number
thank you. I appreciate it.
Question number 1, Randy. 2 + 2 equals. No, I'm kidding. It's just because Dan just said that. The Cardinals entered the 9th inning of Game 5 of the 2012 NLDS, down 7-5 to the Nationals, who drove in the winning runs on the 2-out RBI single that made it 9-7.
So this is quite a memory for me because Chris Duncan had just had brain surgery. And he was just coming out. He was like semi-conscious, and when he would send you a text, it was gobbledygook, and I had no idea. I thought that okay, they just kind of worked on it. I didn't know that his brain was so affected. But he loved getting the texts, and I was texting him during that game as the Cardinals came back, and I believe it was Pete Kozma that drove in the winning runs. But isn't that weird that my strongest memory of that series and of that time in 2012 was that Dunk had just found out that he had been diagnosed for that glioblastoma, and so I was texting him. I was live texting him that game.
It's amazing when you have great sports moments. You remember where you were.
Yeah, right.
Good, bad, and different.
Yeah.
All right. Question 2: Who is the only player to lead the NFL in sacks 3 times?
So this would clearly be a scenario in which sacks became an official statistic in 1982. I believe it just happened. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's T.J. Watt of the Steelers. I think he's led 3 in a row or 3 of the last 4 years.
Final answer.
Pretty good. Final answer, T.J. Watt.
Following the Patriots' comeback from 28-3, who scored the Super Bowl winning touchdown in overtime?
I'm going to go with James White, Brooke. I'm going to go with the running back James White to score the overtime winner and break Anthony Stalter's heart.
Boy, did it ever.
Yeah, poor guy.
Going back to Terry Bradshaw's MVP win in 1978. 20 different QBs have won the award. Only 2 of them never played in a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson and who else?
An MVP that has never played, a quarterback that has been the MVP and never played in a Super Bowl. Never played in a Super Bowl. So this is all the way back to 78. Dan, I'll just do the lifeline because I don't want to go through every team right now.
Randall Cunningham, Brian Sipe, Phillip Rivers.
I'm going to go with Brian Sipe in the early 80s when he led the league in passing for the Browns. I'm going to go with number 17, Brian Sipe.
All right, final answer?
Final answer.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Matthew.
Despite Danny's tone, we do have a winner in today's fight. Is it Randy Carricker with a second win in a row here to start the week? Or does Todd get revenge on Randy after a 2-1 loss not too long ago? Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker. The Fight is driven by Car Shield. Plans to fit any budget. Visit carshield.com today.
I'm sorry, Todd. You heard Mr. Buck there, and that means Randy Carricker hit the jack, and he beat you 4-2 today.
Yeah, I called that shot. I knew he'd get 4 right.
Sorry about that one. Let's go through those questions and answers. The Cardinals entered the 9th inning of Game 5 of the 2012 NLDS, down 7-5 to the Nationals, who drove in the winning runs with a 2-out RBI single that made it 9-7, and it was, in fact, Pete Kozma, Daniel Descalso, getting the hit that drove in the runs to tie it from the 7-5 deficit to 7-all. The only player to lead the NFL in sacks 3 times just happened this year. T.J. Watt, 3 out of 4 years, even more than Big Brother J.J.
Did Deacon Jones lead like 4, 5, 6?
Technically, I think they have him down on Pro Football Reference currently. They changed their stats. They did a blog post. They said we went back and found all the stacks. I think Deacon Jones has 4 out of 7 years or something like that.
Oh, wow, okay.
Or he won, or 4 out of like 8 years. It's some crazy stat like that. But obviously, it's unofficial, so I'm not using it.
Yep.
And following the Patriots' comeback from 28-3, who scored the Super Bowl winning touchdown in overtime, that was in fact James White. And despite the texter in the text line, yes, the Super Bowl has ended in overtime. That one, because I sent you the link and you can look at the box score. Going back to Terry Bradshaw's MVP win in 1978, 20 different quarterbacks have won the award. Lamar Jackson and 1980 MVP winner Brian Sipe for the Cleveland Browns, the only MVPs to never play in a Super Bowl. And actually, Randy, you can get more specific. You can say as a starting quarterback, because none of the other MVPs that didn't start in a quarterback were ever like a backup or anything like that. So you can take it fully to the never started in a Super Bowl, let alone played in a Super Bowl. But yeah, Brian Sipe and Lamar Jackson. A 4-2 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Todd, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
I appreciate it, guys. You have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
All right,
Todd.
Thanks,
You too.
Todd.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Randall Cunningham was never an MVP.
Isn't that something?
He finished second twice, I want to say.
Yeah, the 98 season.
Yes, and then once in the early ones, I think with the Eagles, I think he got through as like a second or third in the voting, but lost to Steve Young.
I would have gone with Randall having an MVP. That's kind of surprising to me. You probably knew that, Randy.
No, I knew that Brian Sipe was. I knew that he had, once you gave me that name, I knew that he was. So that was where I was coming from. Hey, coming up next, we talked to Joe about this yesterday, who has worked really hard at his golf game. If you could take lessons at something for a year and become great at it, what would it be? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, Danny Mac for Stewart's American Mortgage on this Tuesday morning. If you're looking for someone to help out, if you need someone to help you purchase a home, refinance, or if you're looking to consolidate some of your ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things, let me make it really easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. He will help you with every step along your journey. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he will get you to the closing table, and he'll do it fast. Try 10 days. He'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan that can help you out too. So what is the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, no closing costs. Stewart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewart a call. Call him directly on his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, or Google the bagel loan.
Matthew, great to have you with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. We had our friend Joe Buck on the show yesterday, and we closed this conversation because Joe had several years ago really gotten into enhancing his golf game. I mean, deep into it. And so I asked him yesterday how his golf swing was, if it just comes back, because if you play golf, I didn't start playing golf till I was 25. And when I go out after not swinging for a month, my swing isn't there. I have to work on it. So I asked Joe if his swing is natural now, or if he is able to just go out and have his swing right away.
Randy, I need a therapist for this kind of stuff. I obsess about it. I hit so many balls like 4 days ago when the weather was nice that my left elbow just blew up. It's ridiculous how bad my elbow looks.
But he's really good. And this brought to mind the question. He worked really hard at it. If you could do something, practice as something for a year, but know you were going to become really good at it, what would it be? Text in 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! So it could be cooking. It could be boxing. It could be tennis or golf. It can be whatever you want. Brooke, you had a good one yesterday. I think that it's a really interesting approach that you have.
Which one? Because I wrote down 3. I couldn't pick between all of them last night.
Gambling.
So, yes. Dan. So, hear me out, Dan. So, the reason I want to be good at gambling, one is because I want to make some more money. And I think it's a little side hustle you could do there. If somebody could teach me to not just be okay at it, but great at it, guys, that would be an amazing investment. I would love to do that. Singing would be another one. Rocc, you brought that up. I think singing, to be great at singing, would be fantastic. I've always been so jealous of people who can just belt out a song on command, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
That would be so cool to do. And then the other one also, Randy, is golf. Because golf, as you guys know, I'm still learning and trying to learn. And it has been the most humbling experience that I have ever had in my entire life. Just when I think that I might have my swing down, all of a sudden it just goes haywire. I looked like Tom Brady this past weekend. Did you guys see that video?
Oh, yeah. He hit it about 5 yards.
That was me, after I had just had a really good swing.
Doesn't that make you feel good, though? That a good athlete can have that happen to him. It kind of made me feel good.
It tells you how tough golf is.
It is.
It's a brutal sport, man. It's very, very hard to do.
And that's the one that I would take. But you know what I would like to be able to do? I'm a good instruction follower in terms of being a cook. I would like to creatively make great meals without having to have a recipe. I would love to learn how to be a chef.
I'm still waiting on my carrot cake from you, Randy.
I know you
which is
are.
the best carrot cake I've ever had.
Really? The best?
It is the best.
Yeah. I've got those plans in the works, Dan.
Okay. Maybe Super Bowl Sunday, something, a little special gift for me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're in, bro.
Thanks, bro.
How do I also get in on this list?
My whole team is in here.
Okay,
Matthew likes carrot cake, right?
Carrot cakes for everybody.
Yeah. Rachel, okay, carrot cakes for everybody it is.
You're going to be busy this weekend.
It's actually, once I get rolling, it's pretty easy.
We got a really good one on the text line. I like this because it's not too pie in the sky. Billiards. It's so satisfying to running racks and pool. I know there's not a lot of money in it to be as a professional, but plenty of chances to play big money games behind closed doors. That's a really good choice.
Oh, that's a great choice. You know what? Another one. That's really
a lot of your friends'
idea.
money.
What about poker?
Yep, that's another great one.
Ooh,
Getting really good at poker would be good.
I know that I talked about sports betting and gambling, and I want to be great at that. But if somebody could teach me how to do that, and I could just go into the casino and be that person, be really cool, where you could just run the table, I want to do that.
I didn't think about. Somebody said fighter, how to fight a fighter pilot, but I think let's lower that down to a little bit more reasonable. Yeah. Learning how to fly a plane and being able to just casually be able to I'm going to go take my plane out today. That would be learning how to fly would be pretty freaking cool.
I like this one from the 314 that I hadn't even thought of. Dancing.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Right
Ballroom dancing.
Right there, we're singing.
Yeah, in a year, I can't dance at all. And I may never, you might be able to give me 6 years and I could never become a good dancer, but it'd be interesting to try.
I would like to play guitar like Eddie Van Halen.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And that's something that in a year.
Oh, yeah, you
work at it every day for a year. It'd be really cool.
And the stipulation here is also having somebody who because Joe had somebody who was helping him out. And so my thing was if Randy could have somebody who during breaks could just be all right, Randy, you're going to come out here and work on your golf swing for 3 minutes every every break during the show how good you could get. Somebody threw out, we talked about this yesterday, day trading stock. I think that's another one. If you have somebody in your ear at all times, like, here's the information you really need to be doing this, that'd be fun.
Somebody said nookie.
Well, how do you become
you
good
put
at
it
that?
you put it nicer than that. Yeah, they did put that on there.
Yeah, and you get to practice for a year?
A lot of practice. I'm just saying.
Why? These are the things you usually steer us away from,
No,
Danny.
it was a 636. It wasn't me.
No, I saw that text also. I just wasn't going to bring it up.
Normally, you're on the other side. You talk about death.
What is that old dating show that they would bring on newlyweds and married couples? And that just makes me, when you said, when you said that, it made me think, because they would say that on there. Remember?
I did like Chuck Woolery on We'll Be Back in 2 and 2.
Yeah, he was great.
What show is that? Love Connection?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Love
314 says dunk a basketball. Listen, that person just reached down inside a deep part of me and pulled out the real answer there.
But how can you practice to become somebody who can dunk, though?
Yeah, I think
there's apparently there's two things. One, there are like drills you can do to get your vertical better, and the combine people talk about it. There's drills apparently they do to widen their hands so that their hands are bigger when they get measured by the NFL. That's a big thing in dunking a basketball. Being able to palm a basketball, that's a big factor.
I remember because Brandon Allen, do you remember him?
Yeah.
He was the quarterback at Arkansas. Remember, it became a big story that he was getting massages to lengthen his hands.
He's the backup for Josh Allen in Buffalo, I think. Brandon Allen is.
You give me a year
Is he
of those
really?
massages,
Yeah. Are you
I'll be able
serious?
to palm a basketball, which I can't do right now. That'd be sad.
Cool. Painting comes in from the 314 on the text line. That'd be a good one. You know, George W. Bush is a big painter now. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like his thing, and he's really good. I saw a feature on him, and he's a really good painter too. So that's something that I guess you could practice for a year and to become good at. There was one other one that I liked here. Sports trivia, so I could beat Megamind.
No wonder you like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, disc golf, that would be interesting.
Disc golf is they take that very seriously.
do.
Have you guys met somebody who plays disc golf?
No, but I've watched them over at Creve Coeur Park, and they're intense.
Oh, they are very intense. One of my old coworkers at KMOV, he is a big disc golfer and listens to the show a lot. And he is very, very serious. They travel. They go all over the place for this.
Yeah, it's good for them. And I would assume that if you do practice for a year, you become a lot better, right?
I would assume.
It's not a random
I would
thing.
hope so.
No.
That's how I felt about golf. I thought I would be better than I am right now, but still working on it over at Family Golf and Learning Center.
Oh, it takes a long time to get better at golf.
I know. Dan, when does it get
hard.
better for me?
It's just hard. I mean, it's a hard sport. You do have to practice. You got to have, I think lessons help. Are they necessary? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's a hard sport.
Oh, it was Whoopi. That's what they said.
Nookie.
Yeah, but on the old dating shows, that's what they would say.
Yeah. There's a song.
You remember?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, kind of.
How about this one? I would like to be able to walk normal like I had good knees. From the 314. Is that from you?
From Danny?
No, it wasn't for me. I actually come in and I give you a little visual here. I take one of the trash cans and put them under my legs. They're small trash cans so that my knees don't hang off the chair, and I have to go by 9:15. I'll be out stretching in the hall.
Yeah.
Got to get the knees going. It hurts.
Man, poor guy. I hate sore knees.
It is what it is.
A couple more from the 314, bowling, and then surfing. Think about the places that you get to practice. Surfing.
Hawaii.
No. Sharks.
Sharks. Yeah.
I have a big fear of sharks. For
I don't
no
know many
reason, they
people
just
that
scare
like
me.
them.
They like them?
No, I said I don't know many people that do.
Yes, but I'm saying I don't know. Remember when you were little and you would maybe go into the pool and you would worry for whatever reason there would be a shark in there? That was me. I was always panicking that there'd be sharks and bodies
Did
of
you watch
water.
Jaws?
I did. I think that had a lot to do with it,
I would say
Dan.
so.
I think we're getting to the bottom of this fear.
Wasn't the best part of Jaws when the head shows up in the hole of the boat? That's the one where I went back in my seat. The body, and then there's a hole in the bottom of the boat. And I don't even remember who died, but they died, obviously.
The old SNL had a shark.
Oh, yeah. Land shark.
Yes, a land shark.
Candy Graham.
That's exactly right.
Candy Graham. Great.
I learned from the greatest. You just jump the shark.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. There you go, Brandy.
We've got the Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN. Perfect.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home by updating our bathroom. We have a house in U City that's over 100 years old, and we love it, but we didn't exactly love our bathroom. This is the first time, though, that we've really done anything like this, a big renovation, and we weren't really sure where to start. So we reached out to one of our great sponsors here at 101 ESPN, and that is E&B Granite. E&B Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they really helped sketch out a vision of how to transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with E&B Granite was stopping by their amazing showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, and cabinet options. Jen was the one who was working with us, and she has been fantastic. When we went to see her, she already had a lot of great ideas for us that fit within our budget. And that's what they do there at E&B Granite. Their friendly and experienced team has been turning visions into realities for over 20 years. Schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online to embgranite.com or stop by their amazing showroom and see Jen. Make sure you mention that I sent you.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
It's 9:05 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Dan McLaughlin, Matthew Rocc, Randy Carricker, and Coach Dick Vermeil will join us in 10 minutes. But it is time for the Rush Hour Reset. And at the top of our news today, the Chicago Sun-Times reporting within the last 5 minutes that the Chicago Blackhawks will host the Winter Classic next season at Wrigley Field against the St. Louis Blues.
Oh.
Blues and Blackhawks at Wrigley Field next year for the Winter Classic. That's pretty cool.
That's exciting, actually.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
That'll be fun.
Connor Bedard, Hawks, Blues, Chicago, Windy City. You got Wrigley. That's a lot of fun.
Snuggerud.
I was going to say Jimmy
he'll be there.
Snuggerud.
Yeah.
I would assume he's there.
I would hope that he's there.
Yep.
Jeremy Rutherford has a piece up about Jimmy Snuggerud at The Athletic right now. You can check it out. But he says he's focusing right now, as he should, on Minnesota and having a successful run to the Frozen Four. Minnesota's good, not great. They aren't a favorite to be in the Frozen Four, but with Jimmy Snuggerud on your team in college hockey, you always got a chance.
And then I assume that once the season ends, that if he does want to come, he would be in Springfield.
Yeah, you would think so. And then next year, the Blues, the impression I get is that they are prepared to do that 11-game tryout and allow him to see if he can play at this level. And then if he can't, then he can go back and play.
You want to see if he can play right now here before you pull him out of Minnesota. So you're going to find out if he can play in the NHL first.
Yeah. Last night was media night at the Super Bowl in Vegas. They actually had it at Allegiant Stadium. Even the craziness of media day isn't as crazy as it used to be, but there were a lot of things that were brought up, including Travis Kelce being asked about Swiftie. I wonder how he felt about that. How do you think he feels about that?
About being asked about Taylor Swift?
He knew it was coming, but I mean, it's kind of a personal in nature, isn't it?
Well, I think that their relationship is pretty public at this point.
Has to be. Doesn't have much choice.
I thought he handled it pretty well.
I thought he did, yeah. I think he handled it really, really well. And I think that's the thing is he was very respectful about it. I don't think he's going into depth about their relationship and what's going on behind closed doors, just the respect that he has for her.
Here he is.
She's unbelievable. She's rewriting the history books herself. I told her I'll have to hold up my end of the bargain and come home with some hardware too.
Oh, there you go. A little mini Lombardi and maybe a Super Bowl ring.
Well, it's going to be addressed, and I thought he handled it well.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to something you said. So the Super Bowl, like the big media thing, has calmed down a little bit. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of cost.
Yeah.
The cost of sending people to the Super Bowl. We used to go every year. Now, when we had a team, too. But Radio Row isn't nearly as big as it used to be at the Super Bowl. And then you just don't have the characters. Like Downtown Julie Brown was on MTV. And
always bouncing around and doing her thing.
And those sorts of people just aren't out there anymore. NFL Network hires their own, and he was fantastic, their own child reporter. Jeremiah last night was really entertaining. But there just aren't as... And I think part of it is... It used to be a morning, afternoon thing, and now it's a nighttime thing. So it used to be, for example, Entertainment Tonight. You could do it at 11 in the morning and put it on your show at 6. Now so many people have seen it on social media that it really doesn't become a TV thing now.
Well, and how expensive Las Vegas is. When you're talking about sending people there, how much do you think a hotel room costs? Even if you would have booked it way in advance,
probably
how
$500.
expensive?
I was going to say 500 at least.
More than that, I would almost guess.
Think. Yeah,
if you want to be close to where the action is. If you're a media member, you have all that equipment, as you know, and you want to be as close as possible to that hotel or wherever where they're going to have all the big events where you might need something. I can only imagine how expensive that would be per night.
So obligations now, media-wise, they're tempered going forward, correct? I mean, are the players available to the media maybe Wednesday?
Every morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay,
not
and
Friday.
then it stops.
Yeah. But what happens now is, and both teams are a half hour away from the strip, so depending on where you're staying as a media member, they'll have shuttles that will take you to the hotel, and they'll get a ballroom, and players will be sitting at a round table, and you just surround them.
So did you see, I don't know if you guys talked about it yesterday, but a guy like Mike Florio is kept out of the commissioner's press conference. How do you have that guy not allowed to go in and get the special dispensation, the ticket, whatever it is, to get in? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He's got to be in there. He's going to ask some tough questions, and they wouldn't even allow that.
But that's the point, is because he's going to ask the tough questions. And after everything that happened with Jim Trotter, I think that Roger Goodell doesn't want another situation like that. And he really doesn't want anybody to question him about anything. I know that he did get some questions yesterday, but we played that audio earlier. He really just answered the question without exactly answering it.
I don't think that they would... If I covered an NFL team, I don't think they would provide me an invitation to them.
No, you'd be out.
I would love that. Maybe that's what should happen is we have a public vote of who gets in. You have to let at least one person that's going to hammer him hard on questions in there.
Jim Trotter, Rachel Nichols. I would ask a fun question.
Anybody from outside the lines?
Yeah, right.
Jeremy Schaap.
Is it Jimmy? Not Jimmy Roberts. Jimmy, whatever his name is. But Jeremy Schaap would be great. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I think that he's really good at pivoting. His dad was a senator, so he knows how to pivot like a politician, and he does. He does a really good job of it.
He's paid a lot of money to protect the owners.
Yeah.
And look like the bad guy if he needs to, and he's making, what, $60 million a year?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
By the way, he did announce that the Eagles are going to open the season, not the Kit Band that's in St. Louis tonight, but the Philadelphia Eagles are going to open the season in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Mm-hmm. And so that'll be the first Brazil game for the National Football League to open next season. That is the Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, like Andy Reid, Dick Vermeil coached the Eagles and the Chiefs. He also has a relationship with Kyle Shanahan and is our Super Bowl champion. Dick Vermeil, the Hall of Famer, next on 101 ESPN. Hey, there's a lot of great things happening at Together Credit Union, City SC's official banking partner. Right now, they're offering you a safe and reliable way to grow your money. Certificates of deposit, or CDs, are a really attractive investment. And whether you're a new investor or an experienced investor, you'll love a CD. And right now, Together Credit Union is offering two fantastic promotions. The first one, an 11-month CD term with a 5.40 annual percentage yield. And then a second CD rate option, a 19-month CD with a 5.00 annual percentage yield. Both options require a minimum balance of $1,000, but it's a great way to grow your money. And all you need to do is go to your nearest Together Credit Union branch or visit togethercu.org to learn more. One of the other great things about Together Credit Union, we talked about City SC's official banking partner. If you get Together Credit Union, you can get so many advantages by going to City SC games, whether it's going to the team store or being able to get into City Park. It really is an amazing experience. At Together Credit Union, early withdrawal penalties apply and may reduce earnings on the account. Rate offers are accurate as of January 18th. Rates are subject to change without notice. Other rates and terms available. Membership eligibility required. Federally insured by the NCUA.
If you read all your leadership books, a lot of them will tell you to never confront a serious problem in front of other people. I don't believe that. I learned in broadcasting, sitting in locker rooms around the league and everything else, and I've always sort of believed this. Players in the locker room tend to think the only guy that gets chewed out and reprimanded for making a mistake is the second stringer. And I've always felt that everybody has to feel they're all going to be held responsible, regardless of how good you think you are. I would always attack a problem, not the person. I would attack the problem in front of everybody.
One of my favorite things in 40 years of doing radio was having Dick Vermeil go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, and he came over and spent so much time with Michelle Smallman and I on our morning show then, and with Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin, I'm Randy Carricker. It is the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and the Hall of Famer Dick Vermeil joins us now on the Celebrity Line. Coach, it's always good to talk to you. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine, thank you. No issues. No, haven't lost a game. Years.
That's got to be a good feeling. Hey, we've talked about this before, but somebody is going to lose a game on Sunday. What was that like for you when you took your Eagles team to the Super Bowl? How did you respond?
When we took the Eagles, obviously I didn't do a very good job because we lost. but anyway, it was different than when we went with the Rams because when we went with the Eagles, we had 2 weeks, a week bye. Remember, Randy, when we went in 2000 of January, we didn't have a bye. Mm-hmm. We won the championship game on Sunday and got on a plane and flew on Monday, which is not the best way to go. But the results were better with that method.
No doubt about it. And obviously you came away with a win. Hey, what we always like having you on, Coach, but you, like Andy Reid, coached both the Eagles and the Chiefs. I know you have a great relationship with Andy Reid, and you also have a great appreciation of the history of coaching. What's your impression of the legacy of Andy Reid's coaching career in the NFL?
Well, I think he's right there with Belichick, with Don Shula, Tom Landry, Bill Parcells, these kinds of guys, Joe Gibbs. He's with those guys, and maybe on offense, along with Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was ahead of his time offensively. Andy Reid has been it a long time now, so he's been ahead of the game offensively, I think, for many years now. And the offense today is so mature, with all the touches he's made on it through the many years, that you just never know how he's going to beat you,
He's sensational, and I know that you also have an appreciation of the Mike Shanahan tree and Kyle Shanahan. So I'd like to get your impressions of what he's done in San Francisco, too. Well,
I think Kyle is a reflection of his dad. I coached against his dad many, many times, not very often successfully. But Kyle's done a great job. He's a little innovative in his own way today. The more restricted, closer-knit formations, not spread as much from sideline to sideline, and giving him different advantages, both run and pass, and also allowing more than one receiver to cross the field easily to get to the other sideline, and catching more balls running away from the quarterback or parallel to the line of scrimmage rather than a higher percentage coming back toward the quarterback. And I think all of these has elevated that offense into, right now, the most productive offense in football.
Well, speaking of the 49ers and then offense, there was a recent article by The Athletic that is titled, "Why This Year's 49ers Team Reminds the Greatest Show on Turf Rams of Their Super Bowl Run." Do you see any similarities between the 49ers and the Greatest Show on Turf?
Well, I think, and Mike Martz did a great job within that article because I saw it and I was interviewed within it. And I think the 49ers are use a higher percentage of tighter formations than we did. But, they exploit the running back just like we did with Mike, and those guys run the offense. And they score a lot of points. Okay. And they score a lot of points. People tend to forget how many points that team, our Super Bowl team in St. Louis, scored when the offense was sitting on the bench. I like to make sure my defensive coaches and players get credit for what they did. I think it was 11 touchdowns, in returns and interception returns and fumble recoveries and all that kind of stuff. But I would say the real similarity is in the utilization of the running back within the passing game.
What do you think about Brock Purdy? A lot of people try to label him as just a game manager in kind of a negative way. What do you think about him, and do you see any similarities with him and Kurt Warner? Because Kurt Warner, of course, a lot of people talked about all the weapons that he has around him, just like they do with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I think Kurt Warner's a more pure passer. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I do think they do a great job of exploiting Purdy's talents. I don't think he's limited. I think they fit him in with the scheme that they run, and I think other quarterbacks that have equal passing talent could do the same thing within that scheme. I think he's just an all-pro quarterback, and regardless of what scheme you run, I think he can move into some other schemes and do as well as some of the other great quarterbacks do. I don't think he is quite as gifted a passer, even though his percentage completion is great. You know, if you really evaluate your offenses from year to year, percentage passes complete via coming off play action is normally higher than your normal drop back passing game. And they use a higher percentage of play action passing. And I think that's why his pass completion percentage is higher than everybody else's as well.
Coach, who do you like to win this weekend and why?
Well, I like the Chiefs to win. They're my team. I worked there 5 years. I'm close to the Hunt family and close to Andy Reid. I grew up a 49er fan. The very first NFL locker room I was ever in was the 49ers in 1961. Red Hickey was coaching the team, and Mike Hickey, his son, was playing defensive end for me at Hillsdale High School. So Carol and I would get to go to the 49er games once in a while and sit in the booth with Mrs. Hickey and then go down on the field and into the locker room after the game. And I can't tell you what an unbelievable impact that had on me in regard to NFL football. So I will always be grateful for those experiences.
Coach, it's amazing. When you tell that story, it's like you can see that locker room in your mind's eye. Is that the way it is right now?
Oh, yeah, that locker room wasn't much, believe me. It wasn't much, but they had a lot of stars that I grew up watching play. You know, big-name 49ers that are now in the Hall of Fame, you know, the McElhaney's and all those kind, Y.A. Tittle, and, you know, it was just something. And actually, Red Hickey was really the first one to really take the shotgun formation and put it up front. Now, they caught up with it later in the season, but at first he was putting tons of points on the board out of the shotgun, and nobody else was doing it.
Dick Vermeil, you always mentioned to us early on in Kurt's career how he played beyond the scheme, that everybody had to be ready for the ball because sometimes the ball was set to go one place, but Kurt would see somebody and it'd go another place. It looks to me like Patrick Mahomes is a master at playing beyond the scheme. Do you agree with that?
Oh, no question. Yeah. I think Kurtz was really more programmed going throughout the entire pattern and extremely well coached by Mike and Al Saunders and all those guys, John Ramsdale within the offense. But I think Mahomes is more independent because I almost think sometimes he gets out of there too soon because he wants to go out and create something different than the pattern was designed to do. Not that he can't do it in the routine of the pattern. But Kurt, I think, exploited the whole pattern from the pocket, whereas Mahomes exploits the offense from all over the field. Almost, you know, he has thrown it left-handed. He lobs it over. He throws it sidearm. He can throw it in any which way, you know, which makes him extremely unique.
Your friend Mike Holmgren used to say about Favre, well, he's standing on the sideline. No. And then Favre makes a play. Yeah. It's probably the same thing with Andy Reid and Mahomes, right?
Yeah, no question. I used to do that with Dante Hall in Kansas City. I'd say, no. Don't feel that. And then he brings the ball up to the 50-yard line or into the end zone. I say, great play.
Well, Coach, Torrey Holt is a finalist once again for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Do you think this is the year that he gets in?
Well, you know, the competition's tough. I believe, you know, he deserves it or else he wouldn't be in the finals, 5 times? Mm-hmm. Whether in this year or not, I think it's 55%, 60% chance. You know, he holds the NFL all-time record, history of the NFL, for the most yards gained in one game with 3 pass receptions. I think it was 186 yards with 3 receptions, and 2 of them were touchdowns in one game. No one has ever done that before. And I pointed that out a couple of weeks ago to Howard Balzer because I was going through different stats trying to find something that could separate him from somebody else, going into the hall. And I found that out and made sure that Howard, who presents him and everything, and got that information. Yeah.
Hey, Coach, if Torrey does make it in, and at some point he will, Bruce, Holt, Falk, Pace, Warner, with the fact that offense did put together 3 consecutive 500-point seasons, was that the best offense ever?
Well, if it wasn't the best ever, it's as good as the best ever, okay? I don't know, but it was very productive. And I think it also set a tone to other coaches. It told other coaches, that move your schemes, spread them out, attack, make sure you utilize the running back within the scheme and still be sound in pass protection, So I think it was maybe what Bill Walsh did early in his career and got that style of offense built in, that Mike and my offensive staff did that in 1999. It was very productive after that as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
So now how is life treating you with the Vermeil wines? How's the wine business?
It's going okay. Yeah. We're not big hitters in the business. We make quality wine. And we recently won a blind tasting against $350 and $450 bottles of wine, to the shock of everybody, which really pleased us. But we're doing it right. We've got a Hall of Fame bottle of wine coming out that my partners decided to do after I made the Hall in 2022, and it'll be released coming up. We ended up making only, I think, about 85 cases of it from, and the grapes came from Beckstoffer Vineyard, which is overall maybe has more credibility in Napa Valley than any other vineyard management organization. So we're pleased with that. And our 2021 vintages could prove to be the best we've made so far as they mature. We had to start selling them a little earlier. As you remember, Randy, we lost all our 2020 reds in the forest fire.
Yeah, right.
So, but the 2021s are already drinking very well, especially when you consider how early it is in their barreling age. Yeah.
Good. So I think one time recently when we spoke to you, you said that you'd made the playoffs. Vermeil Wines had made the playoffs. Are you still a playoff team or are you advancing?
No, we're a playoff team. Yeah. It's hard to make the Super Bowl in the Napa Valley.
Exactly.
But, no, we are. And I say that because we make a little money, we break even, pay all our expenses until have a few bucks in the bank, and no partners is putting money in their pocket to go home with because they wouldn't be able to pay the bridge fare. But it's doing well. It's run well, and the people love our wine. Our Napa tasting room won the best tasting room award in Napa this year, and there's 100 of them, so we're very proud of that. So we're doing it right.
Beautiful. Hey, Coach, one more thing. I want to ask you about the state of the game right now because you've said that you couldn't coach the way the game is coached now because you don't have as much access to the players. Anybody who watched your teams and watched the fact that you guys hit and played defense, it was a different game 24 years ago than the game is now. How do you like the product now when you watch it?
I like the product. I think it's a little better for the player overall. I think the fundamentals are not as good as they used to be. We all had more time to spend on the individual player and developing a young player to become the London Fletchers, the Kurt Warners of the world, and these kind of guys, the Billy Jenkins, all undrafted players who started in the Super Bowl and played well. It's harder to do that now with practice time restrictions and contact restrictions and double day restrictions. If you'll remember, Randy, our first 2 years in St. Louis, we never took the pads off. And we were on the field a long time. But because of that, we were able to develop some players. So when Kurt Warner all of a sudden became the great player that he was, everybody else was good enough to allow him to take advantage of his talents. And for Mike Martz to take advantage of his talents, and Al Saunders and Hannafin, it took time to get where we were. It's tougher to do that today. I feel sorry for the younger coaches.
I was just going to ask you about the younger coaches. What would be your advice? You were in that spot before. What would your advice be to these younger coaches?
Be who you are. Don't try to be anybody else. and always start out tough. You can always back off. But if you don't start out tough, chances are you're going to get fired anyway. But if you do start out tough and get them going and building this toughness in the schemes and the fundamentals and the discipline within your program or your organization, then you have a chance to back off a little bit when you feel you've arrived.
And finally, Dick Vermeil, I want you to tell this story because it's one of my favorites. The day of the Super Bowl, you had been the coach that burnout started because of, but you were so thankful to the people that had given you opportunities that on the day of the Super Bowl, tell us about the phone calls that you made as you prepared for the game that night.
Well, I always try to show people how grateful I am for the contribution they made to my career. And I always had the slogan, if you want credit, go to the bank. That's the business they're in, and I sincerely believe that. And I never talk about the Rams without talking about the contribution of my coaches. I never talk about the Chiefs without talking about the contribution of my coaches. And then that brings you into conversations about the players. And I especially felt that in going into the Hall of Fame. Those guys accelerated my ability, made a contribution, put me in there. I never played a snap. But I know. So I'm very conscientious about talking with, from time to time, the coaches and just saying hello, how you doing, and thank you for what you did for me, and thank you for how much I learned from you. I went to the Hall of Fame this last year as not as a participant, but just a member of the organization. And one night there, I sat at the table with George Allen's two sons, okay, Bruce and George. And I look at those guys and I just think, your dad started me in this league. Wow. So you can never forget those people to help you get where you are.
And you don't, and you're wonderful. We love you. You're our coach. You'll always be our coach here in St. Louis. You know that, Coach. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and thanks as always. It's good to talk to you, and we'll talk soon.
All right, take care.
You too. Thank you, Coach. That's Dick Vermeil on 101 ESPN. On Super Bowl Sunday, and the game doesn't start until 5:30, he spent a good couple of hours of Super Bowl Sunday calling people from Philadelphia, former players, former executives, former assistant coaches, from UCLA, from Hillsdale High, just to say thank you. And and he was really big on making everybody feel they were part of the program. So he called all these people and said, you are as big a part of this as anybody. From high school to his college coaching days to his Eagles days. He's just incredible.
He is. The first time I got to meet him, he was exactly, and this might sound weird, but of course I wasn't here for when he was coaching. So I saw the version of him in Kurt Warner's movie, and then I got to meet him in person at an event here not too long ago. And he's exactly as I imagined. He is just so kind, so nice, and so helpful. It's not hard to see how he was able to accomplish all that in his coaching career.
He's 87.
It's amazing, isn't it?
87 and hasn't lost a beat, man.
No.
You talk to him. I could talk to him all day.
Oh, yeah.
87 years old and sharp as a tack.
Yeah, he really is. He's an amazing human being, and he's the best leader I've ever been around. And I've been around Whitey and Tony and Tori and Joel Quenville, fabulous leader, and just some really good leaders of organizations. But right there, top shelf, is Dick Vermeil. He's number one in my book. Coming up, a little bit more from the Super Bowl and a little bit of reaction from what DV had to say here on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, I want you to feel great. If your job requires you to use your body, maybe you're an electrician, maybe you swing a hammer, maybe you're a craftsman, and at the end of the day, you're just gassed, well, it could be an issue with low T, because as we use our bodies over the course of time, sure, they deteriorate a little bit. But also as men, our energy level decreases because our testosterone level decreases. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can be the guy that you used to be and the guy that you want to be by going to Mentality. Learn more at lowtusa.com. And what Mentality does is restore that reduced testosterone level. Testosterone level in every man automatically reduces. It's just part of what happens to us. But you can get it restored with an FDA-approved testosterone treatment at Mentality. Learn more at lowtusa.com. Set up an appointment at one of their clinics, South County or Chesterfield, and start becoming the guy that you want to be and the guy that you were in the past, and get that physical stamina back. It can make a huge difference and will make a huge difference in your life. And they're going to work with your insurance company so that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as possible. Get to Mentality at lowtusa.com and tell them Randy sent you.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Yesterday, there was a big deal in baseball as the Royals lock up their star, Bobby Witt Jr., to an 11-year, $288 million deal. Also on the other side of the state, there was some college basketball news as number 4 ranked Kansas falls to Kansas State 75-70. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your Rosen Shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the opening drive, 101 ESPN. It's Brooke, it's Dan, and it's Randy. And the Super Bowl is on Sunday. And you wonder how long we're going to have the Super Bowl on network television. Is it going to be soon? Is it going to be like Peacock, having that playoff game? What's the situation? First of all, would you guys be amenable to the idea of, kind of like UFC, paying $49.99 to watch a Super Bowl?
Not that much.
$29.99?
Not that much.
$19.99?
Probably not.
Okay.
Especially when you're already paying for all these streaming services and then you tack on another extra $50, $20 on top of that.
But people buy UFC every single week. It's not their biggest game. People pay a lot of money for UFC every week.
But what is their viewership compared to NFL numbers?
That is a great point. But I believe what's happened here is that we've been used to getting the National Football League, and especially the playoffs, and not having to pay an extra fee on top of what we're already paying for cable. On UFC, because they've always paid that, it's just part of what we do. And so I wonder if the NFL could pull it off. I think they could. I think they're, especially now with gambling and so much interest in that particular game, I think the NFL could sell a streaming Super Bowl.
Oh, they definitely could. They'd make a ton of money, too. I mean, it would be millions of dollars, obviously, hundreds of millions. I think I lied, too. I'd buy it.
See, that happens with me with boxing. So
I'd buy it.
I get like a boxing match that's going to start at 10 o'clock, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll pirate it somewhere, and then I can't pirate it, and then at 9:59, I wind up buying it.
I used to, like, back in the day, Mike Tyson fights. I would do that.
Yeah.
I'd buy it.
Me too.
I enjoyed it.
And maybe part of the pay-per-view thing is another big topic of discussion yesterday with Roger Goodell, is where he's talking about expanding it more with the international audience. So if you have pay-per-view, then that makes it easier to access internationally.
Right, globalize it. That's what MLS has done with Apple TV. Goodell was actually asked that question yesterday.
Well, certainly not in my time. I still believe, and even on some of the pay services, listen, one of the secrets of our success is we are really committed to broadcast television. As I said, 90% of our games are on broadcast and free over-the-air television. I think it's the reason why you will see over 200 million people watch this game here in the United States, because it's on broadcast television and the broadest possible platform. And our credit to CBS, they've built a great platform for us. But there's also a digital stream of Paramount Plus. And we want to support that because there are some fans that are watching on Paramount Plus a lot. So I think it's, again, we'll see Super Bowl continue to be on the broadest platform. I think we'll continue to see the NFL on the broadest possible platform. 23 million people watched that wild card game.
That is a really interesting comment, because he talks about we have to go fishing where the fish are. And so they've got the best of both worlds. They've got the free, ostensibly free TV, and they've got the Paramount Plus audience that can watch on their phones if they so desire.
If you're going to watch one game, buy it, have some friends over, and all of a sudden that stops. I mean, in terms of you could get a lot of people, one television, I still think that you would have millions of buys with this. It would make the league an incredible amount of money.
Well, that's what I was thinking about, because 100 million people buying at $49.99 would be $5 billion for the owners in one night.
Yep.
It would be. And that's the thing, is that they can do it, but should they do it? We already know how much they're making. We already know how much they're profiting from all this.
Pay for this.
I know, but I'm saying for the NFL, when is enough enough?
Never. I wonder, after what they did in the playoff game that you had to buy, how many more of those games are coming? I mean, that was a postseason game.
Yep, it's going to be every year. There's going to be multiples.
I would agree.
Yep, and Amazon's going to wind up with playoff games.
Probably.
Peacock already has them. It's inevitable.
Although I did like what he said about the broadcast partners. They do an exceptional job, and it's one of the reasons it's free TV, that you have so many fans that love the NFL. Some are not going to buy it, but the majority of fans are watching on free TV, and that's where you get the fandom part of it with the NFL.
Exactly. Hey, Friday morning, you can help heat up St. Louis during the 24th annual Hardee's Rise and Shine fundraiser. Stop by any participating Hardee's in the bi-state area on Friday morning and grab a sausage biscuit or egg biscuit for just $1. 100% of the proceeds of all funds collected will help heat up St. Louis, supporting people in need in both Missouri and Illinois. It's Friday morning at any participating Hardee's. Find more info at 101ESPN.com. Rock and roll as we head down the stretch next on 101 ESPN. Hey, you looking for a place to watch the big game on Sunday? I've got an idea for you. It is the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Great place to watch the game and a fantastic place to get the best wings you'll ever have. As a matter of fact, order their carry-out wings today. Go to FentonBarandGrill.com, and for your party at home, you can get carry-out wings. They have an amazing special going on with 50 wings and their signature golden sauce. Take advantage of that. And they have fantastic gumbo at Fenton Bar and Grill. You can get a cup, or they have this really big, it's like a super bowl of gumbo that you'll really enjoy. So you need to head to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Great people are going to be there. As a matter of fact, you can stop by and say hi to Megan and Kelly and Colleen and the whole gang. Alicia will be there tomorrow, and they're going to be open. They're going to have a great staff there during the big game on Sunday. So it's the place to go, the place to watch here in St. Louis. And if you're not going to be going out, then make sure you get your trashed wings, the best in town, from Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com. And when you go, tell them Randy sent you.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. Have you been surprised by your energy bill lately? I know that I have. Then you start looking and searching for ways to cut down on costs. One way that you probably didn't even realize is through your windows. And that's why I got connected with my guys over at Universal Windows Direct, where their windows keep the cold air out. Call Universal Windows Direct today and they'll upgrade your new windows to triple pane glass for free. That's 3 layers of glass between you and the cold outside. Triple pane means extra protection from the elements, a consistent temperature in your home, increased energy efficiency, which leads to reduced heating and cooling costs, kind of talking about earlier when I said that energy bill. Call this number 314-334-2522 to schedule your free in-home estimate today, and you can get all of these benefits. Check this out. For every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 for free, plus that free upgrade to triple pane glass, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Restrictions apply. Tell them that I told you to call and get an additional $250 off your next project for the last windows you'll ever need. Go to universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I want to rock! And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Hey, we've got your chance to win tickets to the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. That's right, Arch Madness. You can win a pair of single-session passes for the MVC, Missouri Men's Basketball Tournament. And it takes place March 7th through 10th at Enterprise Center. All session and single session tickets on sale now. Text into the Air Comfort Service text line and score passes when we ask our question in a moment. That text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And you can learn more about the Valley Tournament and register to win tickets at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. All right, Matthew, what do we got in terms of people trying to win these fabulous tickets?
Well, we always learn something when we talk to Dick Vermeil, and I learned something today, and that was a pretty crazy stat for our good friend Torrey Holt. So, in case you were listening, the trivia question is going to be pretty simple. What all-time NFL record does Torrey Holt hold that Dick Vermeil told us about.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
I like that.
What all-time record does Torrey Holt hold? That's a weird phrase.
Yes.
Way to say it. What all-time record that is held by Torrey Holt did Dick Vermeil reveal to us during his interview earlier in the show?
Right.
There we go. That's better.
Torrey wore number 81 for the preponderance of his career here in St. Louis. So texter number 81 will receive those tickets to the State Farm Missouri Valley Conference men's basketball tournament at Enterprise Center.
It's a lot of texts coming in. 81 of those.
Yeah.
Could break the old text machine.
Well, we're gonna set a record. We're gonna set a record here.
That's what that's about the number of texts we get right now when we do goofy things like, what would you like to become an expert at in a year, or any Taylor Swift reaction? Just the text line immediately just immediately straight down the line.
By the way, did somebody say they wanted to become tall or something?
Yeah, that's not how the segment works.
When you practice
Somebody
for
said
a
they
year.
want to lose 25 years of life. Not how the segment works.
Can't practice that for a year and have it be good.
Well, didn't you see there's like this ultra rich guy that is aging himself supposedly backwards with all these different supplements and things that he's doing.
I saw
It's
a
like
documentary about him.
no, it's not that.
Randy,
This is like this is an actual guy who's spending a lot of money to make sure that he can be as young as possible.
Alex Rodriguez?
I know who Brooke's talking about, and I saw a picture of him.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
He's not looking like that good.
His name is Benjamin, right?
Like you think? No, he's not aging in reverse.
Great movie,
Randy.
though. Great movie.
He's not looking great. Like that guy who's trying to pull that off. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't look good. Even for his age.
He looks like a vampire.
You think he'd look like 20 years younger? You think he's like 70? You think you're like, well, if he's doing this, he's obviously doing good. He probably looks like he's like 55. He's one of those guys. He's not even like one of those guys. He's like 80 and he looks like he's 90.
You know who's doing that is Ted Williams.
Oh, Randy.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's over at the he's at the Alcor Life Preservation Facility in Scottsdale. Somebody thought it was albacore.
That's my favorite kind of sashimi. Albacore tuna. It's my favorite kind. Little ginger, a little soy. Let's go, baby.
So the guy spends $2 million a year to try to make himself look 18 years old again.
That's more than LeBron. LeBron spends $1.5 million on his body.
It's worth it.
It is. It's working.
What's he got, an option for $51 million for next year?
Yeah.
Wants to play with Bronny. Bronny, I just looked. Bronny's averaging 5.5 for USC.
Somebody going to take him.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a picture of this guy? Does he look young?
He looks like a vampire to me. He actually looks a little bit like Jay Bomeister. I'm just going to throw that out there.
It's not.
Do you see it in the face?
Does he look like a young Bo?
Yeah. Does he look like a young lad, if you will?
Young Jay Bomeister was a good-looking cat. This guy doesn't look anything near like a young Jay Bomeister.
But I'm just saying, do you see a little bit in the face? Maybe a little bit. Well, now he kind of looks scary in these photos I'm showing you. So that's kind of... This is not meant to be anything against Jay Bomeister as I'm saying all this.
Has this guy been practicing for a year? That's the question.
No.
Practicing to get 25 years younger.
No.
The Blues are going to be back at it on Saturday against the Sabres. The Billikens are going to be back at it tomorrow against LaSalle. Hopefully the Billikens can get one more win this year.
Ken Palm, as Rocc said, no more wins.
Well,
he initially had 12 wins, and that was probably 3 weeks ago.
This is... Travis Ford wants to have a program, and you can't do programs anymore. That's one thing about the transfer portal, is you can't put together a program that works. Now, has St. Louis University taken advantage of that over the years with Javon Best and players like that? They've got a lot of transfers. But now, nobody is going to have any consistency in college basketball.
None. Think about the football portal right now. It's impossible to keep up with all the players that are moving. And I saw... I guess there was a report that the SEC and the Big Ten would get together and essentially eliminate the NCAA. Here's the thing, man. You need to make the players employees.
Yes.
That solves every problem.
Sure does.
Because
players should be employed.
Now, all of a sudden, players are getting paid, but they're also under contract, and it'd be just like pro sports. No, you can't leave 2 years into your 4-year contract. You're under contract to us.
What about, though, the caveat here that you're recruited by Coach X and he decides to leave, and that's not what you signed up for?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's true, but what we have to do is tell them, no, you're a student athlete. You're picking a school so that you can get an education.
Yeah, but if you're paid, you're not thinking I'm a student athlete.
No, that's changed everything.
Well, here's the thing, though. if you're in the NFL and your coach gets fired, you don't get to leave.
Yeah, you look at it this as being the minor leagues of the NFL.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, if you're under contract, the bosses determine who your boss is. That's what I would do.
If you could fix one, whether it be NIL or the transfer portal, which would it be?
Portal.
First, and I think you should fix both. But
I think NIL works. If you fix the transfer portal, I don't think you have problems with NIL.
Transfer portal for me, especially in football where you have guys that have to decide by January, doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. Do you agree with that? What would you fix?
I agree. I think the transfer portal, there's definitely some things they could do to make it a little bit better so we don't have this happening in college basketball and football.
Yeah. We just got there in this segment. Great job today by our producer, audio video engineer, Matthew Rocc. Has this been a stressful day for you? You've been behind there, man. You've been grinding, and there's a lot of stuff going on back behind that desk.
Tuesday.
Oh, Meh Tuesday. There we go.
Tuesday.
It's a Taco Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So, we got the YouTube back up and working. Apparently, our YouTube crash went down, but it's back. So you'll be able to see T-Mac. He's going to put the camera down a little bit, but you'll be able to see him. What?
Oh, Randy, what did you just say? What did you just say?
Well, there's a reason he loves Sonny Gray so much.
Oh, no. All right, we got to go. We have got to go.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have yourself a great little Taco Tuesday, everyone.
No.